Hey homies, it's Zach, Ohio Skater. Got another video for you guys today. This is gonna be kind of like the ideological pole comp ball tier list that I made. If you haven't seen that video yet, check it out. I made a ranking list of my favorite ideologies, and ones I think are good, and ones I think are neutral, and ones I think are bad. This is a pretty common trend amongst people on Reddit and Discord. So it's a pretty cool video. Check that out. But I got another one like that today. And this one is focused on the political compass. Now, someone created a political compass. They took the political compass and they put a bunch of like positions on it in mini squares all across the political compass in the different quadrants to represent issues that are on that part of the compass. Like if you support that issue, then on that issue you are on that part of the compass. And you're supposed to check off the ones you believe in and look at the results and see where you stand. And it gives you a better idea of where you fall on the compass. But so I did it. I checked off all the things I agree with or believe in. And this is my compass. This is everything I checked off on the compass. And so I'm going to go through all of them and explain myself, and you can get a better idea of what I believe. So I'm going to start off with the right-wing ones. Start off with auth-right. So auth-right was the one that I checked off the least amount of things on. Authoritarian right-wing is obviously my least favorite part of the compass. And I'll go through them all here. So the first one I checked is on the very bottom left of auth-right in the middle. It's like a centrist position, but I put likes Biden. Yeah, I voted for Biden, and he was way better than Trump. I like him way better than Trump. And I'm not like I'm not like obsessed with him, but compared to Trump, he is way better, and I think he was not a bad president. So yeah, that's why I chose Biden. He was better on the environment, much better on the environment actually. Trump is an open supporter of fossil fuels. Biden had some decent environmental policies, and Democrats are usually better at social welfare stuff, which I support. Obviously, I'm an anarchist, but given the situation we have a government, and so if we are going to have a government, I think it should do what it needs to do to take care of the people. That's what governments are for. So I support, in the current society, I support social welfare programs. That's the best thing that the government does, that and protecting the environment. Obviously, I believe in left-wing libertarianism mostly, but I think that would be that would have a lot of things for people's social welfare, like mutual aid and collective ownership would be good things for people's social welfare. But in the absence of that, then we're going to need some state welfare. So that's why I chose likes Biden. I put religious because, as you know, I'm a deist and a Taoist, and I'm somewhat sympathetic to Christianity, somewhat inspired by and sympathetic to Christianity. I don't know if I'd really call myself a Christian, but I'm sympathetic to it and I'm inspired by it. And of course, I am a deist and a Taoist, which may be considered more like spiritual, I guess, but I consider it religious. I do pray about those things and read books about those things and honestly believe in it. So I would say religious for sure. That one was next to the likes Biden one, kind of another centrist position. Another one I chose is based. So like if you say based, that's kind of a center auth-right thing, saying the word based. I do like to say based. It's a fun word to say. And I think anyone of any ideology could say that about what they believe in, and it works. So yeah, I think based is cool. Police should be armed. So as you know, I'm an anarchist, obviously, but I still believe in law enforcement in an anarchist society. I believe in a system of like bounty hunters and private investigators and security guards and even militias and stuff like that to keep the peace in an anarchist system. That's not government police, but it's still kind of like police. And again, just like social welfare, if we are going to have a state, then it should have police. Because I don't want that function of society not to exist, I'm not a police abolitionist, so I'm not really a police abolitionist. I'm a government police abolitionist, but the fact that we have a government means we have police, and that's kind of a necessary thing in any society. So, and I think police should be armed. I think if police aren't armed, they're significantly less able to combat criminals. And criminals may be armed, and if a criminal is armed and a cop isn't armed, then that cop is likely going to be either injured or die. He's likely going to die. So, police should be armed, definitely. Supports the death penalty. I support the death penalty. There are some crimes that are just so heinous that there needs to be a death penalty. I mean, and if someone continues to commit these heinous crimes with no remorse for what they've done, and they never rehabilitate, they never get better, which I think is definitely possible. There are some people who are just evil who will never get better. And if they continue to commit very heinous crimes, then the death penalty is the best solution, I think. So, yeah. Has called someone a degenerate. That's really in the off-center portion of the authoritarian side, kind of closer, a little bit more on the right. But yeah, I've called someone a degenerate before, just jokingly. I don't really mean it, and I don't really think anyone actually is a degenerate for anything that they really do. I think it's kind of a stupid word, because all sorts of people are different and they do different things, and I don't like to judge people. But I have called people a degenerate jokingly. Not really anyone directly, but just like types of people I've called degenerate just jokingly on Discord and stuff. Yeah. Uses 1350 as an argument. That is the argument that African Americans make up 13% of the population, but they commit 50% of the crimes. I don't really use it as an argument, but I acknowledge it as a fact. I don't think it's racist to acknowledge that as a fact. It's just true, and I think it's more due to the fact that they're oppressed. And when you're oppressed and you're more disadvantaged, you're more likely to think that crime is a better way to make a living. And this happens in all disadvantaged communities, but even white people. Most of the people who commit crimes are white people, obviously, because white people just make up so much of a bigger number of the amount of people in the USA. But 1350 is, I think that's an okay argument to use because it's just a fact, And if you deny that, then you're kind of denying reality. And I don't really use it. I don't really use that as like in arguments about crime. I just use that in arguments about just like population in general. Like, I just know that African Americans make up about like 13% of the population, and I actually use that argument to support them most of the time as like a tyranny of the majority argument. They only make up 13% of the population, but and white people make up so much more than anyone else that it's like an issue of tyranny of the majority is really the way I see it. But it's just a fact, and so yeah. So as you can see, I chose 7 in the alt-right quadrant, and those are the ones I agree with. And yeah, I can read the rest of them, but I'm not really going to go into them, but I'm going to read the ones I don't believe in the alt-right quadrant. So pro-Israel, I'm not pro-Israel. Troll, I'm not really a troll. I kind of hate trolls. Nationalist, I'm not a nationalist at all. I think nationalism is irrational and kind of stupid. So thinks flag burning should be banned. No, definitely not. That's free speech. Shouldn't be banned. So reject modernity, embrace tradition. No, definitely not. I like society to progress. I don't want to go back to when times were worse, in my opinion. It's just the fact that things are more abundant now and people are better off, more wealthy, and have better health. So I don't want to go back to any other older form of society. So MAGA, no, I think Donald Trump is an idiot and an asshole, so definitely not MAGA. Pro-life, yeah, not really pro-life. I don't really want to go into that one. It's kind of a toxic conversation, but just kind of not pro-life. But yeah, likes Ben Shapiro? No, I don't really like Ben Shapiro. I don't hate him, but I'm not really into him. So yeah, militarist? No, I'm not a militarist at all. I hate wars, and I think the government spends too much on military, even when we're not at war, and definitely not a militarist. And I don't like glorification of the military. Watches Fox News. I do not watch Fox News. My parents love Fox News, and I kind of see them watching it sometimes, catch glimpses of it while they're watching it, but I do not myself watch Fox News. I think all cable news is basically blatant propaganda, and yeah, better read the news from newspapers and news magazines. That's a better way to get your news, I think. So, the Iraq, Gulf War, Vietnam War were justified. No, none of those wars were justified. I don't like. I only like war in cases where we're preventing a genocide, but in none of these wars were we preventing a genocide. This was just naked wars for naked self-interest. So I don't agree with that. Likes Bolsonaro? No, I don't like Bolsonaro. Uses 4chan? No, I don't use 4chan. Pro-Russia? No, I'm not pro-Russia. I think Putin is an authoritarian, and I want Russia to be more democratic if it possibly can be. So yeah. Has been banned from a website? No, I've never been banned from any website. So yeah, I usually I'm a pretty chill guy online. So yeah. Wants the Roman Empire back? No, definitely not. The Roman Empire was super authoritarian, and like I said, I don't want to go back to an older form of society. I don't want to go backwards. I want to go forward. So yeah. White pride, white lives matter. No, I think that's really stupid. I think white people. We already have all the advantages, and we already are the majority, and we don't really have any specific problems that we really need to address. You could say that the white working class is kind of being left behind. I see that, but that's just, if you want to talk about that, then just talk about the whole working class as a whole and just include everybody, because the whole working class is often forgotten about, left behind. So yeah. And I think it's a stupid thing to be proud of being white. I can see why some minorities are ethnic nationalists if they are minorities and they have disadvantages and they realistically don't have as many rights, and they need to fight for more rights and fight for more equality. But I don't think any race at all should dominate all of politics. Yeah, so any single race. So, thinks torture is justified? No, not really. I don't think torture is justified. I think it's brutal and unnecessary. So yeah. Likes Ronald Reagan? No, I don't really like Ronald Reagan. I think Reaganomics is kind of stupid. Trickle-down economics doesn't really work. I don't think it really trickles down. You need to have shared ownership of things. You can't have things won't be better for the working class until the working class owns the means of production. So yeah. Believes in QAnon? No, I think that's bullshit. I don't really like stupid conspiracy theories like that. So yeah. Likes Reaganomics. Like I said, I don't like Ronald Reagan, and I don't like Reaganomics. So, has a negative view towards Judaism? No, I am fine with any person of any religion, really, unless it's like a suicidal cult or something. But yeah, I'm not against Jewish people. As you can see, I'm not pro-Israel, but I think that doesn't mean you're against Jewish people. Because a lot of Jews themselves are anti-Zionist, and yeah, so I don't think being Jewish is a bad thing, or I don't think Jews control the world or anything. I'm fine with Jews. So, likes Pinochet? No, I don't like Pinochet. I don't like any form of authoritarianism. Yeah, so definitely not. Wants a theocracy? No, I do not want a theocracy. I think theocracy is dumb because politics and religion should be separate issues. Yeah. Does the Roman salute in the mirror? No, not at all. Holocaust denier? No, not at all. Ethno-nationalist? No, not at all. Hitler wasn't that bad? No, Hitler was disgusting and terrible and evil and one of the worst political leaders ever to exist. And like I said, I only support wars in which we're trying to prevent a genocide, and that's what it was in World War II. And so I think, fuck Hitler, he's burning in hell right now. So yeah. Prefers their race over others? No, not at all. I think all people of any race are equal. So, yeah. And then we'll go to libertarian right. So I surprisingly had a lot of things I agreed with in libertarian right, more than authoritarian left, actually. Wait, no, less than authoritarian left. No, but not both of the left wing ones were more than any of the right wing ones, actually. But yeah, I still was surprised that I believed in a decent amount of things that were on libertarian right. But I'm kind of not surprised actually because I've flirted with libertarian right philosophies before, and I am very libertarian as a whole. I think I'm kind of a well-rounded libertarian. As you can see, I lean left, but I believe in all forms of liberty. And the reason I'm left libertarian is because I believe in all forms of liberty, and I think right libertarian kind of has a negative view of some other perspectives on liberty, and I think libertarian left is a more holistic view of liberty. But I agree with all forms of liberty in any way, shape, or form. I think freedom is just awesome, and I have friends on the libertarian right. I'm in a lot of libertarian right servers. They're pretty chill to talk to. I think they're less judgmental than a lot of people on the left because they believe in freedom, and a lot of them are dumb, but a lot of them are chill. So anyway, pro free speech. I'm definitely pro free speech. Yeah, I think there's no harm in words. Words are not going to hurt you. And it's very authoritarian to censor and for the government to censor and to lock people up for just things that they say. I'm definitely against that. Yeah. So, socially liberal, fiscally conservative. I would say I'm socially liberal and fiscally conservative in just a general sense. I'm very socially progressive, but I do believe in a free market, and practically speaking, in the common American vocabulary, that would make me somewhat fiscally conservative. That was Gary Johnson's whole thing back in the day, and I was a fan of Gary Johnson, not gonna lie. I think he was one of the more rational people to come out of the Libertarian Party. He did have that thing with Aleppo. He didn't know what Aleppo was, but I think that was kind of a gotcha question. But really, his policies were rational as far as the Libertarian Party is concerned. Yeah, so with the fair tax and stuff like that. Was political at the age of 10. I was definitely starting to get into politics around that age. I didn't know as much about it as I do now, but I was political at that age. I would say I was very liberal at that age, very just generally liberal when I was first discovering politics. But I was passionately liberal at around that age. Yeah, so yeah, around middle school age, kind of. Free trade, I do believe in free trade. I think a rising tide lifts all boats, and I think free trade it makes the world more peaceful. If people are gonna be trading with each other, they're less likely to go to war with each other, and I think you're gonna get a better deal on a lot of goods and services if you embrace goods and services from other countries. Because you're just going to find the best product. The best product might not necessarily be from your country. Different countries specialize in different things, and it's good to exchange goods with other countries, and when you do that, you exchange cultural ideas, and people become a little less prejudiced, and I think it's all around a good thing. So, Ayn Rand fan. I don't believe in the political ideas that Ayn Rand believed in, really. But I enjoy her general philosophy, and I think her novels are entertaining as well. Yeah, I think she's not bad, really. She gets a bad rep, but she did a lot to promote liberty in general, and so I don't mind Ayn Rand. Yeah. Wants marijuana to be legalized? Yes, I do want marijuana to be legalized. I am a marijuana smoker. And it recently did become legalized in my state, Ohio, and I have partaken in buying marijuana from the local dispensaries and smoking it, and it's better quality marijuana than existed before it was legal, and I think it's safer, and I think we don't need to be locking people up for simple marijuana use. It's not as harmful as alcohol, in my opinion. It's really not as harmful as alcohol, in my opinion, and yeah, I think it's stupid that it was ever illegal. So yeah, fine with that. wants to own a gun. I do want to own a gun. I don't have a gun right now, but I do want to own a gun for protection purposes and for fun. I think shooting guns is fun. I have shot guns before, going to the range, and I've gone skeet shooting and with a shotgun, and I've gone to the range with a pistol, and it's a good time, and I think they are useful for protection. I don't want to use it to harm anyone, and I don't want to commit crime, but for self-defense, I would like to own a gun. Yeah. Has said commies. I have said commies. I don't use it in a derogatory way, but I do say the word commies to refer to communists sometimes. It's just a fun word to say, and it's a shorter way to say it, and yeah. Free market discourages racism. I do think the free market does discourage racism because when you're in a free market atmosphere, people are going to be looking for the best person for the job, and they're not going to be looking at people's race when they choose who to hire, or who to buy from, or who to sell to. Especially who to sell to, they all want to make a buck, so they're not gonna forego money because of racial prejudice. They all want money, and they all want the best person for the job, and they all and so yeah, I think it discourages racism definitely. Yeah. Wants all drugs to be legalized, yeah. So that's kind of one step down from wants marijuana to be legalized. Wants all drugs to be legalized. I think. It's stupid for the government to say what people should or shouldn't be putting in their body, and I think a lot of drugs are more safe than people would assume that they are if they've never done them. People can have problems, but we should focus on treating addiction instead of locking people up, and I think it would boost the economy, and yeah, so. Thinks there should be no government involvement in the economy whatsoever. Now, this one's kind of tricky because obviously I believe that because I'm an anarchist. Obviously, in an ideal world, we would have anarchism and there wouldn't be any government at all. But I do support some intervention if we do have a government. Like I said, there's a difference between being in anarchism and having a government system. And I'm not the type of person that just wants the government to do nothing if we have a government. Because if we have a government, it should be we should still have a well-functioning society. I think all those things would be taken care of in an anarchist society, just in a different, more voluntary, less hierarchical way. But it doesn't mean I'm against them happening. And if we have a government, we should use the government for what it exists for. And so we should... Yeah, but ultimately I'm an anarchist and I don't believe in any government at all, so I did check that one. Individualist, I would say I'm an individualist. I think the only thing we really know is that humans are individuals. That's the only thing groups are more of like an abstraction, and we don't really have as much experience in group. We're with ourselves most of the time, and we're only in our own minds. We only know of our own minds, really, and if you want to get really deep into it, we're only even really sure that we as individuals exist as an individual. And I think individualism is just a fact and any society has to acknowledge it. So yeah. Supports counter-economics. I do support counter-economics as a way to have a successful, peaceful revolution. That's a sort of black and gray market activity, economic activity that is illegal or not really condoned by the government. I think that's fine. Most of it is fine as long as it's peaceful and you're starving the state of resources, and it's a good way to build up a counter society actually that can replace the current system. So yeah. Supports a complete free market. Like I said, ideally we would have a complete free market. I am a market anarchist, and so I do support a complete free market. Definitely, yeah. So I'll go through the ones I didn't choose. Gamer, I'm not a gamer. I don't really play video games. Takes the poll comp test every day. No, I don't think anyone does that. That's really stupid. I take it once in a while. And I think if I took it every day, I just get pretty much the same results most days. And so I think there's no point. And I know what I am. I don't need a test to really tell me what I am. So, yeah. Capitalism is the best system so far. I do not think that is true. I'm not a capitalist. I am a socialist. I am a market socialist, but I think market socialism, anarchist market socialism would be better than capitalism. I think we can do better than capitalism. I really do think that. So, very pro Second Amendment. I do want to own a gun, but I'm not super pro Second Amendment because I think a lot of those people are kind of irrational. There should be some common sense rules around guns. I don't believe in complete freedom of gun ownership. Yeah, because that leads to a lot of bad people getting guns, and you get like school shootings and stuff like that. Yeah. Patriotic? No, I'm not really patriotic. I think I don't know. Just like nationalism, patriotism, I view them kind of one and the same. Nationalism is on the alt right, and patriotism is on the lib right. But I don't really see much of a difference. And I think loving where you're from is kind of dumb because it's just random. Everyone where you're from is random. It doesn't really, you don't get to choose where you're from, and everyone is from different places and everyone is equal. So I don't think one area on a map is better than any other area on a map. We're all humans, So. Wants China to fall? No, I want the best for every country. I don't want China to fall because regular people live in China, and not everyone in China is really super supportive of the Communist Party. There's a billion people in China, and they all have different opinions. Just because they have this authoritarian government doesn't mean everyone there deserves to have bad lives. I want the best for everyone in every society. So yeah. Anti-communist socialist? No, I'm not anti-communist socialist. I think different societies have different ways of doing things, and I think communism and socialism works better than most people would think it does. There's a lot of propaganda that says it's just terrible, but I think people in communist and socialist societies mostly still live good lives. They're mostly still fine, and I think they're noble ideals, and I wouldn't hate anyone for simply their political ideology unless they hated other people because of their political ideology. But I don't see that in communists and socialists. Yeah. Elon Musk fan? No, I think Elon Musk is a douche. Elon Musk, I've read some articles about his businesses. Tesla is a racist work environment. Black workers often get called the N-word in Tesla factories. And SpaceX has a lot of workplace accidents. Elon Musk doesn't like neon colors, apparently, so he banned safety vests, and there's a lot of workplace accidents at Tesla. And I don't think anyone deserves the amount of money that Elon Musk has. Yeah, so anyway, I'm not an Elon Musk fan. Wants to own a business. This one's tricky because I may start a cooperative, but then I wouldn't be the sole owner of the business. I would be one of the owners, and everyone that works there would be owners. I don't want to be the sole owner of a business and hire wage workers. I want to maybe start a cooperative, but I didn't check that one because it's in lib right, so I'm assuming that's what they mean, like running a regular capitalist business. So yeah, shall not be infringed. That goes with the Second Amendment thing. It's the exact same thing. I don't know why they made that two separate squares, but yeah, no, I don't really agree with that. But I do want to own a gun. But I think we need common sense rules. So, hates taxes. Taxes are, all right, I don't think anarchism is really going to happen in my life, but I'm promoting it so the next generation can promote it, and the next generation can promote it, and eventually we will get there, and it will be better, and there will be no taxes. But honestly, I've come to terms with the society that I'm given, with the society I was born into, and with the way it works, and it works a certain way. I may disagree with it ultimately, but I'm not going to bitch and moan about everything that happens. There are much worse things than taxes, and as the saying goes, there are only two things certain in life: death and taxes. So I don't bitch about taxes, really. So, yeah. Stock enthusiast. I don't own any stocks. I don't have enough money to invest in stocks. I want to own more stocks one day. I don't even have a retirement account right now, but one day maybe I'll be a stock enthusiast. I think it would be cool to own some stocks, but not right now. No, so I didn't check that one. Yeah. Makes new emails to evade free trials. No. I think that's stupid. I think that's a big waste of time, and I don't really download many things with free trials anyway. I just use the normal internet most of the time, or the free softwares, so I don't really care about that. Uses incognito mode frequently? No, not really. I use the regular browser mode most of the time, so yeah. Crypto enthusiast? No, not really. I think it's kind of cool. I think it will have a place in anarchism. Obviously, I believe in a free market of currency like a lot of mutualists believe in, but and crypto would help with that. But as it is right now, I do not have any crypto, and I think it's really being misused and exploited by certain people who don't really give a fuck about voluntarism. They just want to make a lot of money, and so no, I'm not a crypto enthusiast. Thinks poverty isn't a real issue. Poverty is a very real issue. I think we need to eliminate poverty, and I think there still is a lot of poverty in the world today. We've come a long way, but poverty is still an issue, definitely. And I believe in free markets because I think they are better at alleviating poverty. So I think that's stupid to put that there because I think most of the capitalists who are really good people do believe in free markets because they think it reduces poverty, and I agree with that. So yeah, I do think poverty is an issue, but I think free markets will help with that. So I'm kind of against that being there, but. Uses a VPN? No, I don't really use a VPN. I can see why it's useful, but I don't really need one. I pretty much follow the law, so yeah, I don't use a VPN. Yeah. Wants to lower the age of consent? No, not at all. I'm not a pedophile. I hate pedophiles, and I think the age of consent is a good thing, and adults shouldn't be having those sorts of relationships with kids. It's their minds aren't developed enough for that, and just stick with your own age, bro. Yeah. Flat Earth thinks evolution is fake. No, not at all. Like I said, I don't like those types of conspiracy theories. I think they are completely made up, and they just are complete bullshit and come out of nowhere and just make no sense. So yeah. It's the poor's fault they're poor. No, it's much more complex than that. Some people are just unlucky, and in a capitalist system, not everyone is going to win, and that's not always their fault. People are born with disadvantages, and we just aren't the system we have doesn't allow for everyone to be rich. It's not possible. It needs to have class stratification. It needs to have a small group of owners and a large group of proletarians. And those proletarians obviously have more disadvantages than those owners, the bourgeoisie. I don't think it's possible for everyone to be rich in this system. So I don't think it's their fault. It's the system we have. So yeah, the market shall decide all. Now, just because I believe in a free market doesn't mean I think the free market should be everything that exists. There are some things that can be run by non-market ways. I think I'm a left libertarian because I still think there should be a lot of things that are non-market, that are run in non-market ways, more common property, stuff like that. That doesn't mean that I don't want the market that exists to be totally free, but I don't think everything needs to be on the market all the time. Yeah, so yeah. So that's what I got for lib right. Let's see. I got 14. I checked off 14 things in LibRight. Let me see here. There's 36 in each quadrant. There's 36 things in each quadrant. So like I said, for authRight, I chose 7. And for LibRight, I chose 14, yeah. So that's everything that was on the right. I told you what I chose and what I didn't choose. Yeah, and I chose more things in both of the left quadrants because I do lean more left. So I'm going to go to authoritarian left next. So healthcare is a human right. I do think healthcare is a human right, and I think in anarchism we could even provide healthcare to everyone. Like I said, there are ways we can handle this in anarchism, and not everything should be complete on the market, and healthcare is a human right. And given the current society, I definitely think that, yeah, if we're talking about what we should do, given the fact that we have a government, yeah, healthcare is a human right. So everyone deserves healthcare. Yeah, so anyway. I just think it's not fair the way that rich people get all their health taken care of and poor people, just because they're poor, aren't taken care of as well. I think there are ways to do it that are not single payer. I'm not going to say I believe in single payer, but I do believe in universal health care. It can be a mix of public and private, and maybe some vouchers or something like that. But it's more complicated than single payer versus complete free market. Yeah. So uses Reddit. I do use Reddit. I used to use Reddit a lot when I was in like high school. Kind of stopped, but I do check it a lot. I don't really make a lot of comments, but I check the posts. They're interesting sometimes. I like to read some comments, but I don't really make a lot of comments or make a lot of posts, but I do use Reddit. It's kind of interesting. As you've seen videos on my channel where I used Reddit, the anarchism and Reddit videos, yeah. So yeah, I do use Reddit. Agnostic. So I did choose religious, but I also chose agnostic. I think you can be agnostic and religious. You can believe in something, but also not have proof for it. That's called faith. And so I think just because I have faith doesn't mean I'm not scientifically minded. I acknowledge that I don't have proof for it, and I'll never have proof for it. I think it's impossible to prove, and I think everyone should find that to be common sense, but that doesn't mean you can't be religious, but I am also agnostic, so yeah. Likes Bernie Sanders. I did like Bernie Sanders. I do think Bernie Sanders is a good guy. And I think as far as American politicians are concerned, he is way better than most of them. So I do like Bernie Sanders. I voted for him in 2016, and I wish he would have become president. I think we'd be doing much better right now. Yeah. I'm not going to say he was like a full-on, commie, but there I go using the word commie. I'm not going to say he's like a full-on commie, but he would have taken us in a better direction, I think. And I think he had to work with, like I'm saying, I'm working with the society I was given. And he had to work with the society he was given. He was born into a certain country in a certain time that had a certain place in history, and he had to work with that. He couldn't just do everything he really wanted to do. He had to work with what he was given, and I think he was good at doing that. And he promoted socialism to regular Americans in a very good way, because I think he aligned it with American values and showed people how it could be American. Yeah, so yeah, I think he was a good guy. Socialist, I am a socialist. I've already said that. I believe in the worker ownership of the means of production. I do believe in free markets, but I also believe in worker ownership of the means of production. At the same time, I'm a market socialist, so I did check that I'm a socialist. Yeah, tanks are cool. I'm not a tanky, but tanks are cool. They do look cool, and they're just kind of badass. Yeah, but I don't like war, but tanks are cool. I gotta admit. Constantly involved in political infighting. I am constantly involved in political infighting on Discord. I don't start it most of the time. Usually it's ironic because the Marxist-Leninists are the ones that start it most of the time, talking shit about market socialism or anarchism. And I don't even pay attention to it anymore. I try to ignore it most of the time, but they do bring it up, and I do have to argue on behalf of my beliefs sometimes with people who I find to be completely irrational. It's just the way it is when you believe in something controversial. So yeah. Wants slavery reparations? Yeah, sure. I think slavery reparations are deserved. I think those would be good. Given the current society we have, I don't see an issue with that. Slavery did do a lot of damage to a lot of the African American community, and they deserve to be repaid for what they were robbed of. They were robbed of their individual selves, and that community. I'm not racist, but it's plain to see that their community is behind in a lot of ways. But it has nothing to do with them as individuals. It's not their fault. It's because of slavery. We got a head start. Us white people got a head start, and we need to put everyone on an equal playing field. So I'm fine with slavery reparations. Yeah. Wants the USA to fall. Obviously, I want an anarchist system. So if you mean USA as in like the United States government, yes, I do want it to fall. I do want a completely new government. So not government. I do want a completely new system, and I don't think it would be like the United States of America at all. I think it'd be completely different. And so to call it the United States of America would be weird. So yeah, I would say I want the USA to fall. Yeah. Censorship is good. So as you can see, I put pro-free speech and I put censorship is good. I don't believe in government censorship, but I think if you have a voluntary organization, that voluntary organization can make its own rules. But it's less dangerous because you all have many, many different voluntary organizations with different rules. So I don't want the government to censor anything. I think that would be authoritarian because it's one dominant monopoly. But I think censorship is fine inside of voluntary organizations. Yeah, so stands China. I kind of do stand China, but it's kind of as a joke. But I think China is a good example of market socialism, honestly, how it can be successful. I do think China has a lot of problems. I'm against the Hong Kong police brutality and the Uyghur situation, but I don't think the Uyghur situation is an actual genocide, but it is a bad situation, and I'm against it. But I do stick up for China a lot in terms of how their market socialist system works. So likes Gorbachev. So I put likes Gorbachev, likes Lenin, and likes Trotsky. I'm not going to say I really like them, like I love them, but they are all way better than Stalin. So I put that I like them. And I didn't check off like Stalin. So I checked off the leaders that are more rational. That would have, I think Stalin ruined the Soviet Union, and it would have been a lot better if we never had Stalin. I think it would have been like a normal country if there was never like Stalin. You know what I'm saying? So, I don't mind Gorbachev, Trotsky, or Lenin. I think they were better as far as communists go. So yeah. From each according to his ability to each according to their needs. I think that's good. There are some problems with that, like sometimes what you need isn't everything you want, and I think everyone should have as much as they want, but everyone deserves at least what they need to survive. Any society should guarantee that everyone gets what it needs to survive. I think that's a good principle. Yeah. So hates landlords. I don't really hate anyone. I think most people are just doing what they got to do to survive, but landlords don't need to exist, I don't think. So I think it'd be better if there were no landlords and everyone just owned where they lived. And I think that's possible, and I don't think we really need landlords, but I don't really hate anyone, but I know what it means. I'm against landlords. Yeah, so I check that. Want some type of revolution? Sure, I want some type of revolution. How else are we going to install a market socialist system? I think it should be a voluntary, peaceful revolution, which I think is possible. But yeah, I think we need some type of revolution, or Bernie Sanders' political revolution, as he called it. Yeah, so some type. It said some type, so yeah. Watch, and the ones I didn't choose, watches CNN. Yes, like I said, cable news is all blatant propaganda. You shouldn't watch cable news. So yeah. Calls everyone they disagree with a reactionary. No, I don't really use the word reactionary. I think it's a stupid word. I think it's I don't really like that word. I think and I think it's overused by Marxists. So atheist, anti-theist. No, I'm not an atheist, and I'm definitely not an anti-theist. I don't like anti-theists. I think you should just let anyone believe what they want to believe. I don't hate atheists, but I'm just not an atheist. I think there is some higher thing, power, force that exists out there, and that's just what I believe. But I am agnostic, like I said, so yeah. Not real socialism, communism. I don't like to use that argument. I think most people who claim they're socialists are actual socialists. Not everything is exactly what Marxism, Leninism is, and that's not the only form of socialism, so I don't like to use that argument. State capitalism is good. No, state capitalism is not good. Capitalism is bad, and state capitalism is even worse. Because that's just adding even more authoritarianism to it. So no, I don't like state capitalism. Would have been a loyalist in the 1700s? No, definitely not. I would have been on the side of the American Revolution. Definitely. I think the American Revolution had good ideals, and we don't always live up to them, but I would have fought for those ideals. Yeah, so. Communist? No, I'm not a communist. I am a socialist, but I'm not a communist. I don't believe in a stateless, classless, moneyless society. I think it's impossible, but I do believe in worker ownership of the means of production. So I'm a socialist, but not a communist. And I don't think market socialism can be communism. I think communism is completely anti-market, and I'm a socialist because I believe in markets. So that's why I'm not a communist, but I am a socialist. Yeah. Has been on a government watch list. I don't even know how I would know if I'm on a government watch list, but to my knowledge, I'm not on a government watch list. I usually am a pretty chill guy, play things safe and follow the law, so I don't think I'm on any government watch list. So, NASBL, no, I'm definitely not a NASBL. I'm not a nationalist, and I'm not a Bolshevik. I'm not either of those things, so I think that's really stupid. Like Strasser, no, I don't like Strasser. He's a fucking Nazi, and he's burning in hell with Hitler right now, so. Defends the CCP. I maybe should have checked that one because I did put stands China, but no, I don't. I don't really defend the CCP. I do think China as a whole is not bad because they have an interesting culture as a whole. Like I am a Taoist and stuff like that. But I think the CCP needs to be reformed. But I'm neutral kind of on that. But like I said, I'm against their actions in Hong Kong and with the Uyghurs. I think their market socialist system works well, but I wouldn't see myself really defending the CCP a lot. But China as a whole, the regular people of China and its culture aside from socialism, yeah, I'm fine with that. Always complains about the West. No, not really. I live in the West, and I think it's stupid to just be depressed about where you're from all the time because you can't really help it. You got to make the best of where you're from, and so I don't like to really complain about it. Yeah, so supports North Korea. No, I don't support North Korea at all. I think it's a dictatorial hellhole. And that is the quintessential evil form of socialism. Yeah. Wants the Soviet Union back? No, like I said, I want to progress. I don't want to go back to the way things were before. I think we can improve on everything that has ever happened before. So there has got to be newer forms of socialism that that surpass what the USSR was like. Likes Mao? No, again, I don't like Stalin or Mao. I think those were the types of bad socialists that were too authoritarian and too dictatorial, and yeah, so I don't like either of them. Hates free speech? No, I do not hate free speech. I love free speech. I think free speech is awesome. So as I already explained why I support free speech, and because I put pro free speech. I did say support censorship, but only in voluntary organizations, but I don't think that's really a violation of free speech. I love free speech. So I chose $17 from authoritarian left. So you got 7 in authoritarian right, 14 in libertarian right, and 17 in authoritarian left. Okay. So now libertarian left, and this is the one I chose the most. This is the one because I do consider myself libertarian left. Maybe like libertarian center left or something like that, because I'm not really an anarcho-communist, but I did check off most things from libertarian left, and that's what I mostly align with. That's what I mostly myself align with. And like I said, I don't use these things to really determine what I believe. I think they're fun to do, but I know what I believe, and I would consider myself libertarian left for the most part. But I did choose most of what I chose. The highest number was libertarian left. So still libertarian left still won. So yeah. Uses Discord. Discord is my favorite social media app. I do love Discord. I use it like every day, and I chat with people a lot on Discord. I love Discord. Yeah. Doesn't hate furries. I think that one's kind of stupid, but no, I don't hate furries. I think whatever you're into is fine with me. Just don't harm anyone or violate anyone's rights. And if you want to be a furry, go for it. I'm not a furry myself, but do you. Pro LGBT, yeah, I'm pro LGBT. Like it's just everyone is different, and everyone's an individual, and people are into different things, and I'm not going to hate on anyone for their sexual orientation because it doesn't affect me really. And one of my main things that I live by is just do what makes you happy. As long as you're not harming anyone or violating anyone's rights or anything like that, you're free to be LGBT. I don't really care. So yeah. And I think they're fine people. There's nothing wrong with them. I've had a lot of LGBT friends and relatives, and they're just normal people like anyone else. So I don't see any reason to hate them. So hates Trump. Yes, I hate Trump. I think he's an asshole and an idiot, and I wish he was never president. And I can't wait till he's gone. I think he's done a lot of bad things, and I don't really like him. So yeah. Supports BLM. Yes, I support BLM. Black Lives Matter. I support all minority races who are oppressed in their struggle for equality, and I think that's just common sense. Everyone should be equal, and you got to fight to be equal. Sometimes we aren't just. Our government doesn't just make everyone equal right away. We have an authoritarian government in many ways, and it favors the majority, and it's a matter of tyranny of the majority. and you have to fight for your rights sometimes. So I see no problem with Black Lives Matter. Wants free college. Yes, I do want free college. I think everyone has the right to an education, just like healthcare. And college is like so expensive. And I went to college, but it was very expensive. And but I don't. If not free, it should be significantly less expensive. Maybe you got to pay a little bit of money, but it shouldn't be it shouldn't be nearly as expensive as it is now. And I think everyone is better off with a college degree. I think everyone deserves to have a full, well-rounded education. So I believe in free college. Yeah, I think an educated populace is just a better populace. A more educated populace is just a better populace. I don't hate on people who didn't go to college. That's fine with me. If people are, my dad didn't go to college and he supports himself fine, but and he's a good guy. But anyone who wants to go to college should be able to go to college. You shouldn't be prevented by how much it costs. Yeah, so pro-choice, I am pro-choice. Like I said, I'm not pro-life, so I'm pro-choice. I think that's a woman's decision, and I'm not a woman, so who am I to say what decision they should make? It's their decision, and that's their issue, and they need to fight for their rights, just like Black people need to fight for their rights, just like everyone who's oppressed needs to fight for their rights. And yeah, so I know I don't really think it's actually killing like a human life. I think if you get an abortion really early, I don't think it's actually killing a child. You shouldn't be able to get an abortion for your entire pregnancy, but in the early stages, I don't think you're really taking a life, and I think women should have control over their own bodies, and yeah, so. All right. Wants to keep funding Planned Parenthood. Yeah, I don't see a problem with funding Planned Parenthood. It's like healthcare. It's normal healthcare, and I believe in universal healthcare. And if the government needs to fund some of that, then that's fine. I think we should be funding certain forms of healthcare that are needed. And yeah, so I do want to keep funding Planned Parenthood. I'm fine with that. Pro-Palestine. I am pro-Palestine. I'm not gonna say I really love Hamas. They're pretty Islamist, but I am pro-Palestine in general. Just for a matter of the economics of that country, of that area. In Israel they have much better lives. They have like lives that are like a first world country. In Palestine they live in squalor, in broken down buildings, in terrible conditions, and I don't think it's right that this apartheid that exists has created such economic inequality. So I am pro-Palestine. Yeah, so. Nudity is natural. Yes, nudity is natural. It's just the way our bodies are. That's just a fact. I mean, it is fact that we are born naked, and it's just the natural way we are. I'm not a nudist, but nudity is natural. There's no denying that. Yeah, so. Supports Antifa. I do support Antifa. I am completely anti-fascist. And I'm against fascism. And so I think naturally I should support Antifa. It's just I'm anti-fascist, so I support Antifa, which stands for anti-fascism. I'm not a member of Antifa, but fuck fascists. Yeah. Hates authority. I do hate most authority. I don't like authority. I don't like anyone having power over me. I don't like anyone having power over anyone else. I want people to make their own decisions in life, and I don't like people telling other people what to do. So yeah, I would say I hate authority. Anarchist, like I said, I am an anarchist. So yeah, I checked that one. I am an anarchist. Yeah. And capitalism is selfish. I do think capitalism is selfish. The 1% doesn't really deserve the wealth and power that they have. It should be much more equal. And I think capitalists do. Capitalism is one of the sayings of capitalism that came out in the 80s during Reaganomics was greed is good, and I don't think greed is good. So capitalism is a lot of capitalists are openly selfish, and they think that's a good thing for the economy, and I just disagree with that. I think there's no need to hoard that much, and I don't think there needs to be that much inequality. So yeah, capitalism is selfish. Supports unions, syndicates. Yeah, I do support unions and syndicates, and I think they'd be very important in an anarchist system. They're very important now, and I think they would be even more important in an anarchist system. I think we need more unions, and I think unions should have a lot more power. And yeah, so I do support unions and syndicates. Animals deserve certain universal rights. Yes, I do believe in animal rights. I love animals and I love nature and I love the environment and animals are part of the environment and and I think humans have had too much of a negative impact on animal habitats and we should support all the life on Earth. So yeah, I love animals. Thinks ANCAP is an oxymoron. I do think ANCAP is kind of an oxymoron. I think ANCAPs, well, I don't think what ANCAPs believe is completely stupid, but I do think when they call themselves ANCAPs, they shouldn't really call themselves ANCAPs. They should call themselves individualist anarchists because that's really what it is. Because capitalism to me is an authoritarian system and it can never be really made libertarian. I don't think there is really a type of capitalism that is really libertarian. I think what anarcho-capitalists believe is really not so bad, but they should consider themselves individualist anarchists and be market socialists. So I do think ANCAP is kind of an oxymoron. Likes Kropotkin. I have read The Conquest of Bread, and I do think Kropotkin was good. He's a good writer, and he had some good ideas. And I want to read Mutual Aid. I think that would be a very good book to read because I do believe in mutual aid, and I do think mutual aid is natural. And I'm not an anarcho-communist, but I sympathize with anarcho-communism, but I do think a lot of things should be communistic. I don't want a totally communist society. I want a market socialist society. But I do think there should be parts of society which work communistically. And so, yeah, I don't mind Kropotkin. I like Kropotkin. All right, so now the things in lib left that I didn't choose. Uses TikTok. I don't use TikTok. I don't really like TikTok. Well, I don't hate it. I just never really got into it. So, yeah, I just don't really use TikTok. Pro-Ukraine, I'm not going to really say I'm pro-Ukraine. I did say I'm not, I did check that I didn't check that I'm pro-Russia either. I didn't check pro-Russia or pro-Ukraine. I don't really have a dog in that fight. I don't know. I think that war is just stupid. And there are bad people on both sides, and it's just a clusterfuck. And so I'm not pro-Russia or pro-Ukraine. LGBTQ, I am not LGBTQ myself. I'm pro-LGBTQ, but I'm not LGBTQ myself. That's just the way I am, and the way I think and the way I was made, and so, yeah. Thinks fat phobia is a real issue. No, not really. I don't hate on fat people, but I don't think fat phobia is as much of an issue as, like, racism or sexism or homophobia, or being against certain religions. I don't think it's nearly on that level. So, yeah. Plays Roblox. No, I don't play Roblox. Like I said, I'm not a gamer. I don't really play any video games, so no, I don't play Roblox. Weeb. I'm not really a weeb, but I do like some anime, but I'm not, like, obsessed with it. I don't, like, just watch anime. I watch anime sometimes here and there, but I'm not really a weeb. Satanist. No, I'm not a Satanist. I think Satanism is kind of stupid. Why would you worship, like, the bad guy? I don't like people who, like, support the bad guys in anything, really. I don't, like, when it comes to Star Wars, I'm not like a fan of the dark side and shit like that, you know? So I think that's kind of stupid. And most Satanists are atheists, actually, who just like to troll Christians, and I think, you know, find something better to do. It's kind of stupid, so. Furry, no, I'm not a furry. I said I don't hate furries, but I'm not a furry myself. So no. Likes Lula. I don't even think I really know who Lula is. I think that's like a left-wing Brazilian politician. I didn't put that because I'm not really familiar with her. But maybe I would like her if I looked into her. But yeah. Actual communalist. No, I'm not an actual communalist. So there's communalism as far as democratic confederalism, but what they mean by actual communalism, which is like how it is in Paul Campbell, is like literally everyone sharing everything, like the communists who do want to steal your toothbrush. You know, like, I'm against that. People do deserve to have some personal property. So yeah, I'm not a communalist. But I do support democratic confederalism, but I think they're talking about something different. Calls anyone they disagree with a Nazi? No, I think it's more complicated than that. I disagree with a lot of things other than Nazism, and I'm able to tell if someone I disagree with is a Nazi or not. If they're a blatant Nazi, then I really hate them. But there are some people of different ideologies, like certain capitalists, who I just disagree with, and I don't hate them as much as I hate Nazis. Vegan? No, I'm not a vegan. I like to eat meat. I am an environmentalist and I do love animals, but I think eating some meat is fine. You shouldn't only eat meat. You should have a balanced diet. But I think it's natural to eat meat, but the animals should still be raised in a humane way. I don't like factory farms. If you're gonna eat meat, you should try to find meat that was raised ethically rather than like made in a factory farm. But no, I'm not a vegan. Egoist, back to the middle here, kind of like nihilist. No, I'm not a nihilist. Egoist. No, I'm not an egoist. Yeah. And uwu, no, I don't really use the phrase uwu, or it's not really a phrase. It's like a picture made out of letters. But no, I don't really use that. It's funny, but never really been one to use it. But yeah. Hates the police. No, I don't really hate the police. I think any society, even an anarchist society, needs to have some sort of police. So I don't really hate the police. Yeah. Pacifist. No, I'm not entirely a pacifist. I would say I'm mostly a pacifist. But in cases of self-defense, you shouldn't just let people kill you. And sometimes you have to fight for some things. So I'm not completely pacifist, but heavily pacifist, definitely. But so I didn't check that because I'm not 100% a pacifist. But thinks that humanity's existence is harmful? No. I don't want the abolition of humanity. I want humanity to survive and get better, and I think humans are good, and I like humans. I like other humans, and I like humanity as a whole. I think humanity is beautiful, and I don't think that all of humanity is evil. So, yeah. There are evil parts of humanity, but not all of humanity is evil. And I'm a human, so why would I hate humanity? I am a human, so yeah. Anyway. So I chose 18 in libertarian left, and that's the one I chose most out of. So I chose 7 in authoritarian right, 14 in libertarian right, 17 in authoritarian left, and 18 in libertarian left. So yeah, as you can see, I agree with a lot of things from a lot of different perspectives, except for authoritarian right. I am definitely not authoritarian and right-wing. I like to think I'm not authoritarian at all, but some of the things that were in authoritarian left were not really all like blatantly authoritarian to me and could be fine in an anarchist system, like agnostic or being a socialist. Those aren't really authoritarian things as a whole. So, yeah. And I thought, even though I did still choose most of lib left, I thought the things in the libertarian left quadrant were kind of less serious than the things in the other quadrants, like less of real issues. But I still checked more of that than anything else. But I think they could have made the things in lib left like more serious about like actual lib left theory. But I still checked most of those things. But yeah. So in case you didn't hear me the first time, I do consider myself lib left. I have called myself lib center left before, because there was a period of time where I considered myself libertarian centrist, and then I moved over to the left a little bit, and I still see myself as libertarian centrist a little bit, but so maybe libertarian center left because I'm not a communist, but there have been people who tell me like either you're a leftist or you're not, and there is really no center left. So if you believe that, then I would be if you're gonna give me options like that, then I would be left wing. But yeah. I do really kind of consider myself libertarian center left, and I did check a lot of things in authoritarian left just because I don't think authoritarian left is really as bad as a lot of people like to think it is. I think we're given a lot of propaganda about it, and it's really kind of mostly just like any other type of society. Really, a society is society, and a government is a government, and whether it's left-wing or right-wing, most things are still going to kind of work the same way, I think. So, yeah. And libertarian right, I do have some sympathies to libertarian right because I do believe in free markets. And I'm friends with some people on the libertarian right. So I checked a lot of those things. But authoritarian right is definitely my biggest thing that I'm against. Authoritarian right-wing systems is the biggest thing that I'm against for sure. And that would be my least favorite quadrant. So, anyway, this was my political compass issues video where I checked off all the issues or topics that were in each quadrant that someone assembled here to see what I really believed. And I hope you enjoyed the video. And this one was kind of a longer video. I knew it would be a little longer. Let's see how much time. Oh, wow, this one was like an hour. Okay. Yeah, so really long video. But if you're into that type of stuff, then I hope you watched to the end, and I hope you liked it. So, yeah, that's really a long video, but that's good. I need some more longer videos. So anyway, yeah, good stuff. This was really fun to do. And I think it'll do well, even though it's a little longer. I think people really like the ideological tier list video, so I think this will kind of be like that one where a lot of people watch it, but maybe a little less because it is an hour long. But I do think it was a fun video to make, and I do think people would find it interesting and entertaining. So, yeah. Anyway, like, comment, subscribe, tell me what you thought. Stay tuned for more content. And anyway, peace.